I think maybe you should introduce first.
Yeah.
So have understanding.
Of course, no worries.
We
Introduce
should all
ourselves.
introduce.
Yeah, I think we can do a short
Yeah.
icebreaker.
Yeah.
So
That's better.
maybe we introduce our names and maybe one question to ask about each other. So what's your favorite?
Or maybe interest.
Yeah.
Personal interest.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So hi, my name is Hyson, and I am from Singapore. I'm a Vietnamese living in Singapore, and my personal interest is photography and learning Vietnamese.
Nice.
So my name is Duy. I'm from Hải Phòng and I'm a second year student. And my interest is listening to music and editing video. Video editing. Yeah.
Me too.
I never know. So I'm Quentin. Or it's my English name. So working so easier for people to call them. Also you can call me Huang.
Wow.
Okay. I'm working, but working in recruitment. So just recruitment. My personal interest is there's a lot, but name a few. I love taking care of my health, doing sport, sometimes taking pictures, editing stuff, designing, and a lot more.
Awesome.
Hi everybody, my name is Brian. I think I graduated. Anyone who graduated also? Almost everyone. To you. What is your experience of graduation?
Really?
My name is Vicky. This is the first time I know your master. Kind of very awkward, embarrassing for me. But until now that I know Toastmaster, I know it to him. I'm his Vietnamese teacher. My personal interest is drawing. I'm taking a drawing class and hope that I can doing a portray of some of you guys in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
No.
that's cool.
Okay. And my company, Hippocomic Galaxy.
Alex.
Company is that.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. And now I I'm doing some stuff in the MTV Toastmaster in competition. And come here, learn and work hard and review and one add to the Toastmaster poster and that's it. Hi, my name is Steve, and currently studying from Advanced University, and I'm also in Zurich, and I like drawing and reading. Very nice to meet you. Hi everyone, my name is Leah. I'm 29 years old and I'm the second in class. Yes, I'm from and a little bit about personality. I like singing, drawing, and I'm a crazy fan of Marvel Studio.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice music today, and hope to learn something from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So hello everyone. My name is Dylan. I'm Kobe David also. And actually that's I'm 27 years old. And my hobby, actually not a hobby, but now my focus is on sales and marketing. I want to learn about sales and marketing and also public speaking. So that's what I try to master. And I want to meet you all and thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ngọc and I'm 22 years old. Almost graduated, just wait for my degree. I'm in love with myself and everything that makes myself better, such as Toastmasters, public speaking, traveling and taking photo as well. It's that the big one.
Hello everybody, thank you for coming today. My name is Hiếu, and I do not look posh, but I work in hotel management and hospitality. But now I look like I'm a beggar. But believe it or not, I work in hospitality and hotel management, and my interest is trying different things like some sort of like weird stuff, like getting lost. I like getting lost and then finding the way, or trying adventurous sports like paragliding, or bungee jumping. Some sort of that. I like to try those stuff, and then I also like culinary arts, cooking, because I want to open a restaurant in the future.
That's cool.
Cool.
Awesome. So I suppose it's my turn to take over. So today I prepared a very, let's say short, no, not short, a few segments in today's sharing to give you guys more information and maybe some techniques, some skills, and some of my personal experiences in public speaking and as a Toastmaster. So I'll just go through very, very briefly a quick initial introduction. So let me give you a bit of a info about myself. So this is me. My name is Hyson once again. I moved to Singapore when I was 5 years old. So it's been about 15 years living, studying, and growing up in Singapore. So during that time, I had a lot of experiences overseas and to interact with different kinds of people. One of the more fun experiences that I had was actually joining a Toastmasters club. So I actually joined Toastmasters in 2016 when I was in my first year of Polytechnic, which is like college. And from there, I really enjoyed the experiences. So in the second year, I joined as the Vice President of Education for my club. And then the following year, I became a club coach for another club. And then also in the same time, I served as an area director to help the student community in Singapore grow. So in Singapore, we actually have about 5 student clubs. So this is actually at your university. So we have the National University of Singapore, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore Management University, Ngee Ann Polytechnic, which is like a college, and the last one is the Institute for Technical Education, which is like a lecturers club. So 4 of these clubs actually are under one area, and I help to work with the students and create programs for the area. Some other things about myself. I'm actually just recently graduated from Ngee Ann Polytechnic with a diploma in mass communication. So I study anything about media, about communication, photography, filmmaking, video editing, music, radio broadcasting. If you listen to radio, actually I learned a bit of the behind the scenes as well as hosting in general, and social media, marketing, sales, advertising. So it's one bundle. And one thing about me, ever since I was young, through the whole education system in Singapore, I realized that I've always been consistent in one language, one subject, and that just happens to be English. So in secondary school, I actually found out that English was one of the subjects I was interested in, and because of the interest, I did a lot better in English, so I thought to pursue towards that direction, more towards the arts. And that's where I am today. So this is me in 2005 with my parents and family when we first moved over. So it was just before I went to primary school in Vietnam, then my family told us, hey, we're packing our bags and we're going. And then from then, it was like 15 years. Yeah, and you can see me now. So it's been quite a journey. So maybe through today's session and afterwards, I can introduce you to a little bit of Singapore culture. And if you have any questions during today's session, feel free to ask as well. So a little bit about myself. Why do I want to be a public speaker, or why do I want to take up public speaking and join Toastmasters? The simple reason is actually because my dad is actually a public speaker. So he has about 20-25 years as a public speaker, a life coach, a trainer. And back then I was too young to understand what he was doing. So I just thought it was boring coming to a conference full of adults all listening to one guy on stage going, woo, 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 woo. But as I got older, I sort of understood what is it that he was trying to do. And ever since then, I was looking for opportunities to be able to present and improve this skill. That's why when I came to Toastmasters, my interest and the mission of this organization aligned. And ever since then, I've been a Toastmaster. This is going to be my 4th year. So one memorable moment, this is me giving my Project 10 speech. Can the video play? No, okay. So the first title in the educational track is the competent communicator. Basically, you do 10 speeches, and then at your 10th speech, you get a title. So one memorable moment was when I gave my 10th speech. I was so happy. I videotaped it, and I brought it to my dad and asked my dad, how can I improve as a public speaker? And at first, I thought he would be like happy and very glad that his son actually followed in footsteps. But surprisingly, his response was blank. He didn't say a word. He didn't immediately was very excited. But he just stared at me, and I looked at him for a while. And he shared with me some words that completely changed my perspective on public speaking. And he imparted to me some philosophies rather than techniques that changed my approach as a public speaker. So today I would like to have this opportunity to pass on these lessons and maybe share it with you guys. And maybe you can change your view on public speaking as a skill and the whole journey wherever you are. So in a very short slide, I apologize if the font is too small. It's just 3 very simple philosophies that will help you to rewire the way you think about public speaking. You might have seen some of this before, but I will use this in the context of public speaking today. Okay, so the first one is start with why. So Simon Sinek, have you guys heard of Simon Sinek?
Yes.
Yes, and his book, yes, it's an amazing book. He also has a very popular TED Talk video. It's I think it went viral for a period of time. So it's one of the key lessons or key messages from his speech and content is to start with why, which simply means that whatever you do, find the why first. And once you find the why, the how and the what will come naturally. Whereby for most people, we always start with what. So what am I trying to do to improve my public speaking skills? How do I do it? Join Toastmasters Club. And then when I get there, sometimes if I get defeated, I don't understand why did I do it in the first place. Versus if I have a very strong why, I want to be a better communicator, to be able to express my ideas more clearly, to be able to overcome my fears of public speaking, to be more like my dad. Those are very powerful whys. And when you have the why, the how and the what will come naturally. So that's one way to reframe how you do your approach to public speaking. And I think so far, this has been one question that I always ask myself in every single thing I do, not just only public speaking, but in life. So I believe we're all here today because we want to become somehow or somewhat a better speaker, a better communicator, a better teacher, a better friend, listener, and always start with why is it that we are here today. So sometimes it is in our subconscious, which means we don't exactly think about it, but we sort of know the answer. So what's important is to actually write it down or understand why is it that you're doing something. And when you're able to write it down, put it into words, you're able to see it, it will stick. And that why is very powerful. Okay? So that's the first philosophy. Always start with why in everything that you do. The second is a bit more dark. So this was something that I faced during my journey as a public speaker. So since I joined in 2016, I've given, I think, at least a couple of dozen of speeches, 20, 30 speeches. And the interesting thing about the education program in Toastmasters is that they put you in different scenarios. Sometimes you speak on the cuff, which means you speak on the spot. We just have like 5 seconds, think of your answer now. Sometimes you have to prepare a 7-minute speech. Sometimes you have to inspire a crowd. And sometimes you get the opportunity to come to a cafe and share with people like this. So it's a lot of different scenarios, and there's always fear, right? Before we come out to stage, there's always that fear. So the question is, how should we reframe or how do we overcome that fear? So when I work with students, a lot of times actually they also share with me that it's so freaking scary, dude. How do you go out there and like just talk, you know? So I always tell them that maybe sometimes it's okay that fear is a good thing. And in this case, I'd like to introduce to you the growth zone theory thingy. It's actually on Twitter, but I relate to it because it really describes your journey in learning anything. So we all have a comfort zone. I think you hear this phrase very often, get out of your comfort zone. You know? And the truth is actually if you have to visualize that whole zone experience, you get this diagram. So we all have that little comfort zone that we're very comfortable in. It's when you feel safe, at peace. For me, it's at home in my room, air conditioned with a laptop on and Netflix or something. To each of us, we have our own comfort zone. So in public speaking, it could be sitting in the audience. That's my comfort zone. When I first came to Toastmasters, I was like, okay, this is nice. I'm not moving. And then next you have the fear zone. So the fear zone for me when I came to Toastmasters was when the person who invited me went on stage, and he just happened to be the table topics master. And then he said, "Hi sir, would you like to go next?" So from my comfort zone, I was thrown into my fear zone. So this is when I start finding excuses for myself. No, I can do it next time. Or no, I'll be back. Or no, I'm not ready. No, I'm scared. So this is when your excuses will come out, and all the lack of self-confidence, your brain will like tell you reasons. So I give you excuses for you to stay still and stay in your comfort zone because it's safe. Okay. But over time, I came back and I realized I cannot keep skipping every single table topic. So eventually on the second meeting, I decided to take a step into the fear zone. And the moment I stepped into the fear zone, I entered the next zone, which is the learning zone. So on stage, when I gave my first topic ever, I actually froze halfway. So I spoke for about 30 minutes and then I was just like, I think if you've ever given a table topic for the first time, you know that fear when you run out of things to say, and then you're just smiling. So that was me for a period of time. And the third time that I did a table topic, I went back to the same spot. So by this time, when I gave my second or third table topic, I was sort of like familiar with how the flow went, and I was familiar with the feeling of stage fright. So the wonderful thing about table topics is it forces you to confront stage fright right in the face. So you're like just standing there. And I just remembered that I was here before, and now I'm sort of okay with this. So my comfort zone, in that sense, extended to more scenarios. So instead of me being comfortable in a chair, now I'm sort of being comfortable standing on stage with nothing to say. So that's the next step. And in the learning zone is where you actually start to expand your comfort zone. You start to internalize what's going on, and you start to rationalize this experience. So you get a better sense of what it is you're getting from it. And ultimately, once you get past the learning zone, that's when you have the growth zone. So that's where you increase your skill as a speaker. So in every new thing that we do, even applies to like in this case, like dating, or like asking a girl out, or maybe like doing a very long research paper, thesis. Everything is always this cycle. So far in my life, even in physical training, gym, right there to pick up the barbell and bench 80 kg. It's always fear until you actually do it. So my message here is, the second message is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I think so far that's one of the best ways for me to really force myself out there. The moment you step out of your comfort zone, know that you're already in the fear zone. So the next two zones that's coming for you is the learning zone and the growth zone. So that's a wonderful spot. And the last one, this one, my dad actually threw a challenge at me when he shared with me this. He told me, after next year, I challenge you not to speak for 5 years to improve as a public speaker. And I was very puzzled because from his experience, like 25, 30 years as a public speaker, he's telling me not to speak to grow as a speaker. What do you mean? And actually what he meant was that the most important thing as a speaker, a leader, is actually to be a reader. So he always have this slogan, is leaders are readers. You can only lead as much as you read. And that's important because reading is a great way to gain new insights, new information, new ways to think, new ways to do things. So I can't emphasize more the importance of reading. To me, it's been very, very personal. Reading, sometimes people read novels, sometimes they read comics. But in this case, things I really enjoy reading are actually self-help books. Because sometimes those books have the answers. Actually, if not all the time, they have the answers to the problems I cannot answer in real life. So maybe I have a question during the day that I never really had a chance to talk to someone about. When I go home, I open my books and somehow I find it. And reading teaches you to calm down and slow down and really focus on the meanings. And as and learning English as well. I think if this is your second or third language, reading is a good way to introduce to more words. Yeah. So that's the first step, read. And the second step to this advice is only say 10% of what you know. So my dad, he shares with me this problem because he has been speaking for very long. He feels that after a while in his field, he feels that after he gets off the stage, he feels very empty. Do you guys ever experience that? Like you share something, like a personal story, a personal message, and then when you get off the stage, you suddenly feel very empty, or like you feel like it's not as full. So actually, this feeling is when I think you've shared everything you know, and then you feel sort of like empty on the inside, like slightly. Not yet.
I understand
Okay.
empty.
Empty as in, let's say
It's very vague to understand.
you have nothing more to share. You feel like you have nothing more to share.
Is it running out of word?
Is it? No, it's not running out of words. It's running out of thoughts, running out of content, running out of ideas. Yeah. So I think it's a problem for more intermediate speakers. Like when you keep speaking over a period of time and you don't recharge, you feel like you run out of things to say. It's that time when you feel like you're better not saying anything than going on stage and like sprouting rubbish. Yeah. So it's a challenge for us as speakers, as leaders and leaders, to always recharge on content, because end of the day, public speaking is the skill to communicate your ideas. But if you have no ideas, you have no thoughts, then I think the skill might not be as useful. So with that, those are my three key philosophies that I sort of adopt in my approach to public speaking from my experience. So to emphasize is to start with why. Always ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Second would be to know that attitude, not your aptitude, will determine how far you go. So you need to have a strong attitude, a positive mindset, and throw yourself into the end of the pool. And that's how you improve as a speaker. And lastly, I would think it's to share only 10% of what you know. We can know a lot, but sharing only a little bit not only makes you seem a lot more wiser, but it makes sure that you have to constantly improve your knowledge reservoir, how much knowledge you have before you come out and share. Because I think that's important, that a speaker need not only be skilled at speaking, but instead a very powerful message or powerful idea before he or she can really impact or change. So with that, on today's agenda for this session, I've finished the first part, 3 empowering philosophies that has guided me. I'll be sharing with you 3 parts. 2 of them are from my personal speech mentor and trainer from Singapore, and one of it is a crash course that I sort of put together for international students in Singapore on public speaking. And through this session, I hope to share with you some tips, some tricks, some techniques. And if you have any questions, once again, feel free to ask. So I have one challenge for you today, which is at the end of this session, I would like us to share what is one thing that you can start doing today after this session to become a better speaker or communicator. That's it. Okay. So if anything, just take one biggest step back, something that benefits you in maybe whatever area of life you're at, and how can this improve your skills, your experiences, whatever it is you do. Right? Everyone okay? Cool. And so, one last thing before I wrap up this segment. This is an analogy that my dad shared with me. And I think it's a very, very interesting analogy because I never thought about it. Which is public speaking is like drinking coffee. In this case, it's lime juice. But yeah. Ooh. That's it. Thank you. Okay. So sorry. Yeah. So what he means by this is all public speakers out there in the industry, they're like coffee. So if you guys know Starbucks, you see 2 very different classes of coffee, right? 2 cups of coffee. So the difference is this. He shares with me of his experiences. There are 2 types of speakers that he knows, or rather 2 aspects of every public speaker. The style and the substance. So when we go to Starbucks or we go to a coffee shop and we ask for coffee, what is it that we really need? The coffee, right? So it's the black coffee on this side. It is the coffee beans, the caffeine, and it gives you energy. It gives you that boost. So that's what we actually need when we go to a Starbucks to get coffee. But the problem with this coffee is that it's very bitter, it's very harsh, it's very, very hard to swallow sometimes. And like, do you guys like to drink black coffee? Black coffee? Or depends on the mood. Sometimes you just need black coffee. But most other times, even like for myself, I get milk coffee, I get condensed milk in my coffee. And Starbucks, they know this, so they serve us this thingy. So if you don't know what this is, it's actually the Unicorn Frappuccino. So like last year, Starbucks launched the Unicorn Frappuccino and it went viral in America and all around the world because it's so outlandish, it's so outrageous, it's so extra, if we call it in Singapore. It's just so extra, right? Like you have so many colors, it's nice for the Instagram, but it's full of sugar, it is full of coloring, and it's probably bad for you, right? But within the launch of the Frappuccino, the sales of Starbucks spiked. And that's because people like to buy this drink, right? People like to buy something colorful, something they can Instagram or Facebook, something that looks nice. But it might not be good for you. So he told me that the secret to public speaking is striking a balance between both cups of coffee. People need substance. They need to to hear your message. They need to learn something. They need to add value to themselves. But at the same time, you cannot be dull, boring, and plain because people lose interest. So if you lose interest, there's no point talking to the person. That's why you need to balance it with a bit of style, a bit of substance, a bit of gusto, a bit of flair, flamboyancy, technique, right? On the flip side, not too much style. If you're not too much style, you're like a puff of hot air. Sometimes people are like, whoa, you go to the seminar, whoa, it's so exciting. But afterwards, you don't really learn anything. And you go home feeling a bit empty. So the key is to strike a balance. Right, and with that, that's the first segment. Right now, do we need a break before I jump into the next one, or can I keep going?
It's up to the people.
Sorry.
It's up to.
It's up to the people. Okay. Do you guys have any questions before I move on with the sharing? Anything I can?
Or just do some like mood checking. Like, do you want him to speak like slow down or raise his voice or change anything? You can just shout out.
Slowly? Okay. Sorry, I'll take note. Yeah.
Can I have a question?
Yes, you can have a
So,
question.
you know, for the share 10%, what you know, do you mean like, for example, if when we pick a topic, we should try to make it small, like dig deep into one part of the big topic, instead of like giving everything? Because for example, when I give like, I used to give like a 45-minute speech, and I tried to do that about my major, hospitality, and after that I feel really, really content because I got to share what I love and I share like the big picture of the topic. So do you mean 10% is like maybe picking the small part of that big topic?
I think that's one way to frame it. It's not exactly that. I think in your case, it will be more to like focus on one part of the topic. I think this is more of like a saying for your whole knowledge as a speaker, which means don't tell everybody everything that you know. But I think in your context, it's more of framing a certain angle from the topic to become more interesting or more captivating for the audience. I think what this quote is trying to say is always recharge and build up on your content. So don't always just develop your speaking skills without developing your thinking or developing your knowledge. Yeah. So it's not necessarily say only 10% of the topic. If you know more, delve deeper, that's interesting, that's always good. But what I'm saying is, I hope that whatever you're sharing in that 40 minutes presentation is only 10%. Because if that's 10% of what you know, you are a very wise person. Yeah, that's it.
Can I share my thoughts on that question?
Please.
Okay, so in your case, like presentation, so I also did the presentation for my graduation, and I do it on a topic of dyslexia. So in order to understand about dyslexia, I have to research about origin, history, cause, medical causes, like how the brain works relate to dyslexia, and how the cause from society. and then the result, consequences of having dyslexia, and then good and bad. So what I read was actually a lot, but the time that I have was only 25 minutes. So I have to cut that's what I have to do. Not that I intend to share only 10% of what I found down, but I have to cut it only to a part so that in 30 minutes people can listen and understand the whole idea. But as a speaker, you have to know everything backstage in order to show that frame to people. So sometimes I think 10% is not actually what you intend to do, but that's what you have to find the whole iceberg. But you can only show 10% because you have months to find out about that topic, but you only have 30 minutes to make people understand. So I think 10% is a number, but just part of it is enough for people in 30 minutes. That's
Thank you. Yeah, that's why she's my teacher. Yeah, so it's not a fixed number, but the idea is just share a tip of what you know. Yeah. So actually, I brought some snacks, refreshments in case you need to
Singaporean snack.
Some of it is Singaporean. Some of it I saw fun because I was hungry this afternoon. But please help yourself.
yeah, 2000.
Em cũng chưa hiểu bài đấy đâu.
Yeah, 2000.
There's chocolate inside. So,
This is a break.
yeah, this is a break. Yeah. It's the calm before the storm. My next segment is very long.
Nhiều quá lắm.
Do you have this in Vietnam?
I've never seen this.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Yeah.
Roast chicken dance.
This is like a childhood snack in Singapore. Oh shit, is it chocolate? So I was
That's
putting on a
good.
motorbike, so
I know that. I thought that it's Korean, I think. It's CJ food.
yeah, I bought this
Yeah,
in Vinmart.
my sister worked there before. CJ.
Is Vinmart like the 7-Eleven?
Vinmart Plus is
Vinmart
have
Plus.
convenience store.
Convenience store?
Yeah.
Circle, Circle K is
Circle
Korean
K.
or Vietnamese
Not
US.
Vietnamese.
or US? I didn't know. But there's no 7-Elevens in
There is.
there is, but very few, right?
There are few and mostly in the city. Nice one.
Speak up.
Yeah. So this is a very this is a dramatic introduction I prepared for international students. So it's ask you what are you most afraid of? Some people are afraid of ghosts. For me, I'm afraid of my mother when I get my homework wrong. So it's actually a picture of me learning Chinese and my mother being very frustrated in the background.
I'm very happy.
Yeah, I didn't know she was angry. But for most of us, it's actually public speaking. I think there was this survey done a while ago. They asked you what's your top fears in the world, and surprisingly, the fear of death was only number 3. Right? Public speaking was 1 or 2, and then the other one was dancing in public. So there are top 3 fears of people. So that's why I find the public speaking very empowering. So when you're able to conquer your fear of public speaking, you naturally become a lot more confident and a lot more empowered to live a better life. Is this space okay? Okay, awesome. So this is a short program that I sort of put together for a bunch of Japanese and Singaporean students back in Ngee Ann Polytechnic last 2 years ago. So it's a compilation of all the lessons that I've learned along the way and package it in the most general crash course. So this is the general module, and then after this I'll give you 2 specialized modules on vocal variety and speech crafting, which is how do you write your speech better, right? So why did I choose to learn public speaking? On stage, at first it's because I felt that for a long period of time I can't express my ideas, or when I'm on stage I'm too afraid to speak that I choose to keep quiet, or just say one or two sentences before I get off the stage because I'm afraid of the experience. So I felt that my ideas couldn't really be expressed and shared with people, but through public speaking, not only was I able to express my ideas, but I learned how to have them positively received by people and help them understand. So it's not just enough to like tell you words, but I need to help you understand what I mean. I think that to me is communication. So even though you might not have English as your first language, I find a lot of Vietnamese speakers who are able to communicate in English very effectively. They might not have the best grammar or vocabulary, but what they say matters, or what they say leaves an impact. And to me, that's, I think, the idea of effective communication, in my opinion. So another thing is, I really hope to one day, as well back then, to be comfortable on stage. So you're just okay with just like relaxing as you're talking and not be afraid of this. I think that would be a nice feeling to have. And off stage, I think that learning public speaking, when you learn to speak to a crowd, you also learn how to express your ideas to people. So we call this interpersonal communication, one-to-one. How do you speak or convince someone, negotiating or listening or even talking to a friend in a way that you sort of express your ideas and you're able to help your friend express their ideas as well. So through the process of learning public speaking, I was able to be a better interpersonal communicator, and this improves my social life a lot. Like when I go out with friends now, we enjoy more like deep conversations. Like we go to like a coffee shop or a bar, and we're able to just like express and talk about things on a very deep level. Like you know, there's the hi-bye friends. Like you just talk about, hey, what's up? How's life? You go to that party, and there's also friends who are like, what's your deepest fears? What do you want to do in the next 15 years of your life? So lost, bro.
Adult, huh?
Adult talk. Yeah. So speaking is able to help me do that, and like I said, it improves my self-image. Sometimes we need to be like this picture. We might feel like a kitty, but we must see ourselves as a lion, and really be confident to take that opportunity or take that that challenge and turn it into a victory. Yep. Socialize, and let me just skip this. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so does it work? All right, so disclaimer, these techniques will change your life if applied properly. So how do you speak better? Without further ado, let me introduce you to this short acronym that I came up, which is Speak Up, and it comprises of show, don't tell, positioning, express vocally, know your audience, KISS, use visual aids, and the last but not least, the most popular saying in all public speaking classes, practice, 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 practice. To the end of time. No way, we'll come back later. I'll share the slides with you, so you don't have to worry about this one. Okay, so this is a theory in. Oh, this is so long. Okay. Let's skip this. This is a theory coined by a very smart professor to explain how audiences receive information from communication. So we call this Dr. Meribian's 738-55% rule. So what this means is that when I'm communicating, or when anyone is communicating, we receive information in these percentages. So 7% is actually from the words that I'm saying to you. So the written words, the script, is only 7%. Okay, 38% of what we receive in terms of information is from your vocal variety, which is your verbal language. So that's why vocal variety is an emphasis in the Toastmasters program. And that's why it's important to sometimes learn how to vary your pitch or use your voice to convince people. But the biggest improvement, or rather the biggest area, is actually your non-verbal communication. So this is actually body language, facial expression, gestures, mannerism. It's like sometimes when you see a speaker walk on stage, you can already tell whether you like this speaker or not. Okay, it just means that subconsciously your brain is actually receiving a lot of information visually, and you judge a person before they speak. So it's very important to actually like control your body language or be aware of your body language and use your body language to express ideas. So with that, let me dive into the first one. Show, don't tell. So how do you speak without speaking? I can't emphasize this more. It's actually body language. So for me, I have very poor posture, and sometimes I like to slouch or like stand on a bench knee because I'm just very lazy. But every time I get on stage in Toastmasters, my mentor will always point to me to stand straight, put your shoulders back, be very confident and poised. It's also because it's an image. Because if we sit very slouched or we are like a very bad posture, the audience will think that you're not taking this very seriously or you're very relaxed. Versus if you're confident, you need to portray yourself with a better posture, more upright, and be more controlled in how you move your body. Because people's eyes are also listening to you speak. Right? So these are some ways to improve your body language. Gestures. So gestures mainly has to do with the hands. So there are different kinds of gestures, but gestures are useful to show three things. Here, one of it is size. So for example, let's say I'm talking about a very big box. Having this gesture will help you imagine how big this box is. Or let me talk about how small the screw is. So this is shows size. And also it can give you direction and location, like the toilet is that way, or I look down, I look up. So your gestures help you to also communicate. Versus me speaking to you like this, up, down, left, right. If I use my gestures, you will better understand my body language. So that is one form of gestures. The second is the importance of urgency. We have to do this now. Ladies and gentlemen, like motivational speakers like to use very important or urgent gestures to get a message across. Be very impactful, use your hands, in a grasp. All these gestures help you communicate how urgent this matter is. And the last kind is compare and contrast. This is normally it's for you to explain the pros and cons. So on one hand, I thought that buying a $50 gym membership was worth it. But on the other hand, I'm also very lazy. So I don't know which one is better. So that hand gestures help your audience to visualize your message. Versus on one hand, I didn't know whether it was better to buy a $50 gym membership, or on the other hand, I'm just lazy. So having the hand gestures helps you to visualize. So subconsciously, your audience is learning from your body. Yeah. So the second thing, this one is more subconscious. Actually, I ran into a lot of problem with this segment, facial expression. So in the past, as a speaker, when I started out, after I overcome my stage fright, I realized that one of the problems that my mentor will point out to me, Timothy, will point out and say, Tyson, your face makes you seem very unhappy. Yes, right? Okay, and that's me naturally. So naturally, I'm a very stoic, my tutor agrees, very stoic face. It's not because I'm angry or anything, it's just me. Like, I just think like this. So it was quite interesting because the subsequent speech, he challenged me to smile the entire speech. And it was, surprisingly, it was very uncomfortable and very weird for me at first to smile. But why facial expressions are important in a speech is because they do three things for you. Firstly, express your emotions. Secondly, it helps you to gesture to the audience how they should be feeling about this topic. For example, if I want to talk about my grandfather's journey with cancer and how he eventually passed away because of lung cancer, I will give a very sad facial expression. But it looked very weird if I smile and say, I was sitting beside his bed in the hospital as he was coughing up blood and pools from lungs. This is weird, right? So it gives them a mirror. So as a speaker, how do you want your audience to react to this part of your speech? So if you have a story about overcoming a personal conflict or a personal, could be depression. Like I have some friends who give speeches about their own depression, and having that facial expression helps the audience to reflect the mood. Okay, so it's very important to pay attention to your face. Yeah, that's why after that speech, I was like, okay, that's quite interesting. Yeah, so it's interesting to explore like a range of like emotions. And the next one is eye contact. So when we're speaking to a big crowd, in this case, it's okay. I like a U shape. It's easy to see everyone. But when you're speaking to a big crowd, how or where the hell do you look? There's just so many pairs of eyes. I think some of you might know this technique, which is to break down the audience into groups. So what's important as a speaker when you rehearse is not just to go through your lines. If you can, go to the stage itself and have a look at the room. That's why if you look at world champion speakers, they always like to come on stage for rehearsal. They're not rehearsing the script, they're rehearsing the space. They need a feel for the atmosphere, the feel for the space, and how wide the crowd is. So about 5 weeks back at the start of May, so I graduated as a class valedictorian for mass communication. So I was invited to give an address in front of 1,000 people. So these are parents, graduates, and lecturers, directors, and the audience looked like this. Not just this, but there was also like one more level behind. So that was the biggest crowd ever. So when I can't break it into 3, I break it into 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can break it into more subgroups. So once you're broken down into subgroups, you just hang left to right. I can do a zigzag. Now the next question is, how long should you look at an audience member when you're speaking? Any ideas?
About 3 to 5.
3 to 5 seconds.
Max.
So how are you feeling when I look to you for 3 to 5 seconds? 3 is enough? Let's try it. So bro, how are you doing today? Is it good? How do you feel?
With the people who have the good contact with you, you can keep that with more.
Exactly. Right.
And about 5.
Right. But I noticed something. I've been counting in my head 1, 2, 3, and at 3 you just look away from me. So it is okay. There's no hard and fast rule to what's the number. But my public speaking mentor, he gave me this very interesting tip. You look at a person until they make eye contact with you. Once they make eye contact with you, you move on to the next person. That's it. It's not a number. So you just pan until they make eye contact, then you move on to the next person. Okay, so that's a good tip.
sitting from this far, so how can you know that?
You can tell. You can tell. Sometimes they agree with what you're saying, or they don't agree with what you're saying. Like you can tell. You read them as they're reading you. Yeah. But 5 is a bit too long. You can try the next time. It's quite interesting. It's like look at someone for 5 seconds and then like you feel like yeah. So the rule of the thumb is once they make eye contact, you can slowly move. Don't quickly look. Then you know them. Then they know you're looking at them. Sometimes I know like some guy speakers come on stage and then they see a pretty good end of the roof, and then they just look a bit too long. Yeah. So it's 10. Next P. So P, the second letter, is position. So this one is always, you hear the term staging. Your staging is not very good. So positioning is about using full use of the stage to your speech potential. So you need to know what kind of speech you're giving and how much space you have. So for example, in this presentation right now, I'm seated, so I don't have a lot of space. But the space I have is looking, so I'll try and make an effort to do that everyone. But if I was standing, I could have used the back, the side, get a feel for the space around me. What's important, this is 2 techniques that I picked up from my mentor, Timothy. So when you get a stage like this, as a hard and fast rule, you can break it into left, right, front, back, or diagonally, but generally it's on the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. So one good technique for the horizontal end, we call this, I forgot the term for it, but it's to tell a chronological structure to your speech. So let's say your speech has 3 points, right? At point 1, forming, okay, maybe 3 steps to making a cake, okay? Or maybe, I don't know how many cakes, so 3 steps to losing weight, okay? Step 1, I will stand here. Step 1 is to watch and count your calories, okay? And then after that, when I finish my first point in the explanation, everything, I move to the middle. Step 2, exercise, be active, run, gym, swim, do something, move. Once I finish my second point, from here, I'll go to the third point. Sleep. Sleeping helps your body to refresh itself, clean up, and actually helps you lose weight when you sleep. This is scientifically proven. So what I'm doing here is I'm using each space on the stage to subconsciously tell the audience I transition to a new point. Right? So that's one way to attach it to points. Another way to do this is attach it to time. So if I tell a story about myself growing up, and this is the stage, when I was young, my mother told me to never talk to strangers. Then I go to the second. Now I'm a teenager, and I realized I was afraid of talking to strangers because my mom told me not to talk to strangers. And then you go to the end. Now I'm an adult and I can't find a girlfriend. I look back and I wonder what went wrong. Something like that. So this is another way to stage your speech. So that space, making use of that space helps you to tell your audience which part of the story you're at. So that's another one. Front and back. This one I learned this technique from a Toastmaster who specializes in storytelling. So he tells me one of the techniques is when you move closer to the audience, we call this closing the proximity. So when you're closing into the audience, you're telling them something more personal, something more heartfelt. Like let's say I want to tell you about the girl who broke up with me over a piece of chicken. I think it's funny, or something else. So something personal, you move closer to the audience because you close the space. Close the space to the audience and it's closer. So that's why you tell them something more personal. And when you move back, you give them something to think about. Let's say I share my whole speech and I ask myself, where did I go wrong? When I move back, that's a cue for you to think about what I just said. So moving forward, when you want to tell them something personal, move back when you want them to think about what you just said. So that's front back, and left back. So that's one way you can make use of the switch. E, express vocally. So this has to do with vocal variety. Under vocal variety, I'll go more in depth later. But very quickly, there's volume. So volume is the easiest to understand because it's how loud or how soft you are. If you go very loud, you get to capture your audience attention. But if you go very, very, very soft, your audience will also want to move in to hear you. So it's both. Yeah. So that's how you get your audience attention. Rate. This one is a bit tricky. Like I said, at the start, I was speaking very fast, and I realized it's something that Singaporeans and Singapore speakers do a lot, which their pace is very, very fast. So the problem with a very fast pace is that sometimes your audience cannot understand you. So sometimes you slow down to digest. So it's a reminder for myself also. Slow down. Your pitch, which is how high or how low your voice goes. I think this is more in terms of storytelling or when I bring characters in my speech. Let's say you're going to give a speech about your mom and you. Maybe I'll give my mom a higher voice. Like, son, why are you doing this? And mom, no, mom, don't cane me. I didn't do my homework or something like that. So vary your pitch to keep it interesting. Bring characters. And last one is silence. So when I was doing my radio production module, my radio lecturer shared with me, so radio presentation, that sometimes on air, silence is the loudest thing you can hear. So if you listen to the radio, you realize there's never a silent moment. There's always either background music, some advertisement, or someone speaking. And that's because silence is deafening. It's very loud. And what you can use silence or rather pauses for is to help your audience gather their thoughts. So if you need me to pause as and when during this presentation, let me know, okay? So use silence to your advantage as well, and use silence to let the audience think about what you just said. Cool. Now we're A, S-P-E-A, okay, fourth, okay, so like halfway there. Okay. It's a very long presentation, right, sorry. Okay, audience. Audience, what do we know about audience? When I was in school, my lecturers, I had a public speaking module. It was 6 months. And the first 3 months in that module, I only focused on one topic. And the topic is knowing your audience. So why is knowing your audience so important? Because end of the day, public speaking is about you to someone else. You're communicating an idea. So every time you give a speech or new presentation, I always make it a point to find out more about the audience, or rather imagine what kind of audience I'll be having for the day to better cater the message to the audience. So it's important to know who you're speaking to, because you need to know what kind of language to use, what kind of rate, what kind of pitch. So for example, in today's sharing, I think I'm speaking a lot slower, which is good, because it helps improve understanding, and I have to be a bit more, I guess, active listening. I have to listen a lot more, and I think it's interesting to like sort of wonder if you guys understand me. All right. Okay. Awesome. So this is just one simple paper that I can, like, some tips to help you out with understanding your audience. So in school, they're a bit more intentional. They actually force me to write down, to recall the aspect about the audience. So this is the first time I ever did public speaking so seriously that before I come up to stage to give a speech, I had to write what gender they were, what age group they were in, what culture they are from, what educational level, what income level, where do they live, even to what's their religion, what's their political leaning. It's very in-depth. And that's just demographics. Next, you have psychographics, which is how does your audience think. So if I'm talking to young people, they will be more open-minded, they will be more accepting towards certain topics. For example, let's say I'm talking about gay pride, or homosexuality. Talking to a young group will be a lot easier than talking to an older group. I'm kidding, you're not rude. Yeah, so you always have to consider what's their psychographic, how will they respond to a certain topic. And the last important thing in psychographic is what is their values. This to me was the hardest part to dig when I'm thinking about my next speech, because values is not easy to identify. It's important to think about. So for example, when I was speaking to, or maybe right now, I think if I were to find some values to describe Vietnamese people as a whole, I think we're very family oriented, so we're very group oriented. So we do things with family in mind. We also value maybe being courteous, polite. I think in general, Asian people are a bit more reserved than Westerners or foreigners. I've been to a club with a lot of Western people, and they're very, very expressive. Just hey bro, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? All right? Is it good? Is the weather okay? Today? Are you gonna get some drinks after? And you know what I'm talking about, right? They are very expressive, so that's a value as well. So you need to sort of get a feel for your audience. And you don't have to write all of this, but it'll be good to think about some of these points before you come out and present. It might help you cater your message. I have the same message but spoken to the same audience in a different manner. Okay, this is the third last letter. So KISS basically stands for keep it simple and stupid. Or short and simple also works. So simple and stupid. Why stupid? Basically means dumb down your message such that a general audience can understand. So don't make your message too complicated. This is especially so if you're in a very technical profession, like an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, or an IT engineer. Yeah. Are you in any of those? Mechanical engineer, exactly. So if a mechanical engineer will give us a speech about mechanical engineering, I think he will have killed half the audience before he come out, if he's not a Toastmaster. So our friend here would have approached it a lot differently. Now that he's a Toastmaster, he knows this, that he has to keep it simple and stupid. How does he write his speech in a way that people understand? This is some ways. Short words, short sentences, short paragraphs. So when you're writing your script, think about how you can shorten the length, but keep the meaning about the same. So instead of saying very flamboyant, very, very wonderful, colorful words, can you just make it more concise? Can you make your sentence shorter, yet still communicate the same meaning? So for example, if you look and you watch Donald Trump present to Americans, he uses very, very simple, sometimes very language, but and also very questionable messages, but he's able to speak to the masses because it's easy for Americans to understand. Actually, they did an analysis on Donald Trump versus like Barack Obama's and like other presidents. Like how, okay, so the survey is how educated do you need to be to understand their speeches? So actually for President Donald Trump, the education level required to understand his speeches was a lot lower. So because of that, he was able to appeal to even more Americans and a wider audience. So that's one of the reasons why he was able to communicate to the masses better. So the next one is on jargon. So jargon is basically technical knowledge. Technical knowledge, which means basically words that is used in your job. So for example, I'm a marketing student, and in my campaign plans, I have a lot of terms like what's my KPI, what's my ROI, what's the engagement on this post, what's the reach on this post. You wouldn't understand the context, right? But what if I use words like how much likes did I get for this picture? Do you understand? How many likes? How many shares for a post, right? Or how much money can I get back from spending this advertising space? So that's ROI, for example. So especially in mechanical engineering, I'm sure there's a lot more jargon, like some hydraulic, thermal, fluxing, yeah. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of jargons. So you need to firstly identify what is a jargon. So the easiest way is sometimes you speak to a normal person and see whether they give you a confused look or they understand what you're saying. Okay, so find jargon and try to find simpler words to explain it. So for example, in here, like for example, infrastructure is a very big. Simpler word can be building. Building, infrastructure, it describes the same thing, right? So try to use an easier to understand language, and that will help the audience. Okay, second last one, hang in there. Use visual aids. So I think a lot of teachers would know this a lot, which is using visual aids. So there are many kinds of visual aids. It's not only slides, you can also have flip charts, you can also have props. The wallet can be a prop or to be a tire. So if you're going to give a speech about Vietnamese culture, why don't you come in an áo dài or like, you know, in your cultural costume, ethnic costume? I think it'll be a lot more interesting to see it, right? And that's because visual aids not only help you increase understanding, they save time. A picture speaks 1,000 words. So what they see also speaks to them. So it saves time, enhance retention. So for example, you might not remember my speech today, but you might remember the outfit I'm wearing. Or if I show you this is a speaker, you will be a better speaker like that. If you have a prop to summarize your speech, they might remember the prop. And then from there, this prop will trigger their memory later about what you said. So having visual aids help to communicate the idea. And yeah, they help you to promote attentiveness, so people pay attention to more props. And they try not to do slides actually. One advice I got is go away from slides. If you can use props, use something active. Okay, yeah. And last but not least, practice. Yes. So the only way to become a better speaker is to keep practicing. And that's why you should join a Toastmasters club, because it gives you a lot of opportunities every single week or two to come and give speeches and an opportunity for you to practice. So at least you can. But that's the most important part. Once you've written your speech, you written down what your audience is. You have sort of like got your message, got your props. The last step is to rehearse, practice, and not only just remembering the script. Okay, it's not about just remembering the words. It's about how do you bring the words to life and how do you communicate. And last, without further ado, this is speak up, show, don't tell, positioning, express vocally, know your audience, keep it simple and stupid, use visual aids, and last but not least, practice once you have done all of that. And with that, I leave you with a quote for this segment: the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. So if a lot of people look at me, Hyson, how do you become a great speaker? How do you speak so well? I tell you, no, I'm not born great. I just failed more than you. And that's why I become better. Okay, so public speaking is nothing to fear. It's a process of failing. Just coming back. So with that, thank you, and I hope you see this at your next speech. Yay. So that's one segment down. Let's take a break because I need water. So how's that? Do you find something new or interesting?
Sure. Yeah, like
Yeah.
when you speak now, after finishing a speech, do you feel kind of nervous still? Like after giving?
Yes, especially if there's question and answer afterwards. But
How do you overcome that? Or it's normal that even after a long time of giving public speaking, you still kind of feel nervous when you're speaking and after you speak?
do you have an example?
Like earlier when I answer your question, I have to speak in front of everybody. After that, my hand's shaking a little bit, and you need to like a short answer. So and constantly feel that. And if I have to give a presentation in front of class, I really notice people react. How do they like my speech? And I'm gonna be like a little bit. I'm not nervous.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very
I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
I always feel like, oh, they don't want me. I have to move my eyes to another corner right away. But that feeling constantly exists. So I want to ask if it's normal that I'm going to have that feeling a long, long time, or it's a signal of me not liking something.
I think they have an answer for you.
Then why you should join Toastmasters?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's the first step.
I have some thoughts for that. So I think, for example, for me, so far in Toastmaster, I have done like 12 speeches, I think. 10 or 12. Yeah, and then the very first few speeches, my goal is to like, okay, I want to inspire people. I want them to learn something after the speech. And then my most recent speech, I changed my mindset. I changed it to, okay, I'm here to do the best, and then I'm here to improve my content today because normally people refer to me as too detail oriented. So the mindset switches more from other side to my side. So when you change your mindset, for example, you say, oh, I'm here to win the best speaker awards today. I'm here to giving like an amazing speech so people can remember it forever. Or like I'm here to have fun, to share with people about learning Vietnamese, for example. So the goal is more toward yourself and it's smaller than big goals. So it's like a change in mindset. Because for example, maybe when you maybe when you answer the question before, you expect that, okay, I'm going to give a really good example so people can understand. Maybe I'm just guessing. But then maybe if you okay, I'm just gonna share it. After you take it or not, then I'm just gonna share it because if I'm not speaking up, then I don't feel like myself, for example. And maybe you can try that.
How about like professional area? Like you have to give presentation on your
Major.
too. And do you feel the same way? And do you think the same way? Like change your mindset the same way that you change Toastmasters?
Yeah, because I change it like I don't want, for example, like instead of thinking, okay, I want them to walk out of the session and understanding 100% about hospitality. Then I say that, okay, I just want them to be here to know that hospitality is not only about hotels. So I spoke about tourism, about traveling, about restaurant and real estate finance. So I achieved my goal.
Actually, I have the same kind of problems when I first entered Toastmasters. I'm also quite frequent with public speaking because I already spoke in public many times before, but I get on the stage and I still shaking sometimes, or my posture is not okay. But when doing like deliberate practice, we notice that, and we practice. For example, in this speech, my goal is that I have to improve my posture, and then just focus on that, and then just focus on different area of problem on each project in each speech, and then it's can improve. Yeah, I think myself get better than that. But I think the problems, like even if you on the stage several times, you still got the same problem if you don't focus and just practice to improve that on. Because I think it's kind of like when I before I joined Toastmasters, and project to focus on just one problem, I can become confident at a stage, but sometimes my gesture is still not okay. Sometimes I still get my pace, my power is still not okay. So I think for me, it's just about noticing the problem, set a goal, and then just focus on improving it.
Hope that answers
You
your
answer
question.
your question.
Yes, awesome. Okay, shall I go to the next one? Okay, so this is the third segment. One more segment, then we can go into this. Okay, so next segment, I am going into speechcraft. Alright. So this content is actually created by my speaking mentor. His name is Timothy Lim. He's a distinguished Toastmaster, a certified drama coach. He's been Toastmasters for I think 10 years.
Is that him? Is a picture of him?
No, that's not. But he is round. He's a very prosperous man. Yeah, so let us start with a short activity. So it's not so dry. So the rules of this activity is very simple. Find yourself a partner. And in 1 minute, find out anything and everything you can find out about this person. So just ask questions as many as you can. And once you're done, we will present our findings to everyone and speak for at least 30 seconds.
In 1 minute.
Okay, so how about one song? Okay, let's play one song. So it's more time. So shall we pair up and set enough pairs? I think you can go with that.
And while you bring the speaker.
Yes.
Okay. Very thoughtful.
Next to each other?
Yeah.
You want to switch? I don't
Yeah, you
know.
feel free to switch if you like another person here.
So we need to know stuff about
Just as much, anything. Just ask many questions. So we'll play one song, and once it's over, we will.
1 minute.
Okay, I will.
My name is
What?
Took a car down into the
graduated.
Yes.
Going back to uni, like, no, 4 years younger than me. I love it so much. It's just like fried.
I have to try it. I have to try it. I don't know
I mean, when you hear that, you want to you see one that I want.
No, part one not try. And maybe like once you guys know that you're
Dude, listen to me, dude.
so what's happening?
Yeah, I actually like and do someone. No, I have to sort out. No, we can be really. That's easy, right? I don't like. There's no things that I want to break. I have mom or things that no, I don't like to I make things so what do you like? So you want me to spoke first? One girl.
Guys, last 10 seconds. Please wrap it up. Last 10 seconds.
Try something.
We're going deep into this. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you guys. That's all the time. So the next part of the activity, I'm going to play a very short song. During this short song, I need to consolidate all the information you just gathered about this person and write a 1-minute presentation about this person. Okay? So everything you just found out about this person, you have 1 minute to write. Okay? Write a short speech and present this person as though you're selling this person to someone else. Okay?
Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years and it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles return into the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years and it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Alright. Thank you. Okay, let's start. So who shall go first? Anybody? Who take first?
Okay,
Okay, I can go first.
Okay.
I got nominated. Thank you for the nomination, the Oscar nomination.
Set the screen.
Okay. So, hello everybody. Today I'm not going to talk about myself, but my partner, Ngọc Huê. So, just like you guys, she likes money. She likes to return to her home, and she's afraid of death. So, money, M, home, H, and D, death. But today I'm not going to talk about those stuff because they're too big, deep talks. But I'm talking about her allergies. She's allergy of dust, D, and the H is people who are not having personal hygiene. And M, she doesn't like people who don't have manners. So those are her three allergies: D, dust; H, personal hygiene; and M, manners. And then she's a very practical person. I asked her, what do you like to be gifted? And she answered, she likes useful gifts, but not only for decorations. For example, if you give her a plant, she likes it because it's not only for the house, but it has maybe clear the atmosphere so she can have beautiful skin or something. So it's a very good reminder for me to be practical and to ask for what we need, because previously I was the person who's like, oh, you give me any gifts and then I take it. I'm happy with that. But she gave me a big reminder relating to gift receiving. So those are the two questions that I asked now.
Thank you. Okay, now to try to return the favor.
Sure. Okay. I knew Hiếu for about 10 months, and we talk a lot about daily stuff. For example, what do you eat today? What do you want to do tomorrow? But today, taking advantage of this opportunity, I had dig deeper into Hiếu future plan and also the life that he wants to be in the longer term. So in 10 years, Hiếu already now finished his degree, because Hiếu now haven't entered his dream university yet. But he will be graduating in about when he's 30, and after that, Hiếu will start his own businesses, small businesses in Vietnam to test the idea of his dream business model. And then after finishing all the works and enter his retirement life, Hiếu wants to have an organization, a kind of a charity, to help disadvantaged people to have more opportunities, more chances in life, and travel the world, around the world, and finish his life. Thank you.
You really got a lot of stuff. That's my life. Awesome. Next, we have our gentleman in blue. Sure.
And it's Thủy. And she was a PhD student in Oriental University, which is the same university with me. So that's why we are like very kind of similar. And so I asked her about why she wanted to develop the public speaking skill for the first time, because until now, when I was in the university, I was never thinking about developing the public speaking skill. But she was very young, but she had a mindset to develop to grow herself. And after I asked her, did you have like any reason that why you want to develop that skill so much? Because as everybody, they have their own comfort zone. And for me, in the university, I could never develop the public speaking skill because I feel okay not to speak in the public. Actually, that I feel very nervous and I feel scared when I come and speak with the public. And so that's why I want to know why she wants to develop the skill so much. And the reason is very surprised because she said that she have to do the public speaking like a few times in the university. And at first she did not choreograph, but because the crowd didn't give her the applause, and she feel like maybe really motivated, and she wants to be able to speak because she loves the feeling.
Yeah.
So that is really a good reason, and I didn't even think about that, but and that's all I asked her. And, really great.
Great. Thank you. Let's have your partner share first, and then maybe I don't think you have a partner, right?
I think I will do the last one.
Okay, you can share about yourself. Okay, awesome. Thank you. You can share about you.
Okay, so my brother is a and he comes in study at the same university with me, and he's older than me, so 6 years old. And the reason why he wants to start this mother is before in the past he failed speaking in the ground, so we want to start to improve his speaking skill. And that's all because I mean it's so soft.
Okay, thank you.
She is vertical and look at her is more younger.
Does she marry?
And
Don't hope. Master.
she is working in the relationship in the company about the area which training most people and more difficult with me about the HR activities.
Right.
And I think I need more time.
No worries, it's okay.
To be
Can ask for a second date.
Okay, so because I only have 1 minute to
Yeah,
talk
sure.
about each other, so I just have some information about you, very basic things. His name is Sun, and he's 5 years old. He's an engineer in QC. I'm so very surprised that today he said to me that he's not ready to Toastmaster. He tried it by himself, in Facebook, and I think that is very poetic, and something shows that he has energy and has willing to learn new things, and I think it's very good, especially for engineering guys, because they are lacking of confidence in public speaking, and that's also that have the same issue with many people in manufacturing, and I really appreciate his energy. And one more thing I would like to talk about him is that he's also worked in a famous manufacturing ice cook in Vietnam, and it's good for me. It's good for me because he's so young and have a lot of things to do in the future.
Thank you. That's why she's in HR.
Hello, everybody. So I talked to the guy next to me, and his name is Zui. He's from Haiphong. So my impression to him is that he's, we get on very well with each other, and we're like buddies. I would talk, and he actually let me talk more than I let him talk. I'm very blessed with that. So, and he said before, he really interested in video editing, and we have one thing in common that we use software called Filmora, and we both cracked it in order to use it, instead of paying for it. And the second thing that we both very interested in was each other relationship status. It's really embarrassing to hear right now. So basically, Zui is
available, young and energetic. Information if you want to know more about him. So one question in related topic that I want to know more about him, whether he interested in flying the plane, is that Vietnamese term, in a relationship with someone older, and he still actually haven't given me the correct answer. He just said, "Oh, I don't know." So if you have time, you can find out more about him. Like, yeah, it's a mystery to me. Thank you for listening.
No. So I will tell you about my partner. So it depends on her speech or me that I decide that I gonna revenge her or not. Yeah, definitely do that. So she when MC come from Hanoi and she have just graduated. I don't know what school, but she has just graduated. So actually, for time that we say it about 99% that we talk about relationship. I don't know why it comes up, but we talk about relationship.
I'm interested in telling me interested in listening.
And another transformation concern that she like both guy and woman.
I never heard that. I never heard that.
And she is the one that discern that.
No, it's misinformation.
So is this right, sir?
I don't know.
I thought we were friends.
Yeah, no more information, dude.
No, she has now a relationship and she has a boyfriend. But she is strong and being girl because she met her crush, said that he loved her. So I don't know what trick would you do that when you said that word, but now she's not available anymore. Information for you.
It's always to change.
Yeah, that's sad.
That's sad.
Okay, but that's all for now.
Thank you. And our last speaker,
Yeah,
yes.
this is hi everyone. I'm the last person. I went down.
Oh.
I say about myself more. Yeah, my name is Leah. It means lotus. Yeah, I love my name because it's the Buddha flower. Yeah, and single. I think I'm quite humorous. Sometimes I try to say some special words or say something stupid to make my colleagues laughing or smile because we work with a lot of complicated numbers and easy to be stressed. And, I love singing, but I hesitate to sing in front of people, so 99% I sing at home. And my friend said, yeah, who are your neighbors? Yeah, and I love drawing. I draw a lot of papers. Yeah, fashion.
Fashion.
Yeah, dress for girls. And my friend said, yeah, nothing can be wear. I don't know. And I love traveling also. I don't know how to speak this Vietnamese word to English. It's kind of traveling.
What do you put in English?
Your
I
man.
don't know. Yeah, traveling.
Okay.
Backpacking.
Oh,
Backpacking. Yeah, I have traveled almost north of Vietnam. Yeah, mountainous areas. Mountain. Yeah, 2 days, 1 night. Mountains. And people said that you are strange girls. You should be gentle. Instead of traveling a lot with many groups with boys, something. Yeah. And the last one I want to say that I am afraid of lost. Really afraid. I actually know with own speakers or own talk related to lost. No lost theme. And please know don't scare me by lost. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the whole point of that activity, now I have a question for you. Do you observe how did you organize your speech? Okay, so in that very short exercise, you guys have given a very, very interesting presentation about your partner. And so that also is a speech in itself. So within only 5 minutes or so, you're able to come up with a whole speech, right? And within a very short period of time, you will use your most natural way of organizing your speech. So today in speech crafting, we'll go through some special techniques to help you be aware of what is your crafting style and give you some alternative techniques on how you can craft more styles of speeches for it to be more interesting and more engaging or have a more variety. So first up, very simply put, all speeches has an opening, a head, a body, and a conclusion. So that is always usually the structure of the speeches, right? So in all our presentations, we all have our own different openings. And then the body is where all the points are about this person, and conclusion. So before we start, once again, back to the first philosophy, start with why. Okay, so why are we speaking? This part before you write a speech is very important because you need to understand the context. Why is it you're presenting? So just now you're presenting to either introduce your partner, to give us some humor, or to introduce whether she's single or available or not. So whatever the reason is, the purpose for all speeches generally fall in these 4 categories: entertain, inform, persuade, or inspire. So each of these purposes will have your message in a different way. You realize that the activity I give you was to find out your partner and then give a presentation. But through this speech, there's different purposes. Some of us were there to inform, and then some of us were there to entertain. So that was also an interesting way, as naturally, how do you present? And you have to keep in mind the different purposes. So just one key difference between persuade and inspire. So a lot of people get these two mixed up very, very often. What is the difference between persuasion and what's the difference between inspiration? So this is from my speaking mentor. He shared with me that the key difference is whether you use logic or you use emotion. So we have the left brain, right brain, right? So one is from logic, the other is emotion. When you're persuading someone, you're appealing to the logical brain. For example, this motorcycle is the best because it can go for 24 hours without fuel. There's solar panels so it can self-charge itself, and it can ride 4 people at the back. So these are all information that your logical brain likes. Inspirational content is more emotional. You like this motorcycle because it is safe for your family. Think about it. Even if you go at 60 kilometers per hour, this motorcycle is still safe, it's stable, and your kids won't fall away. So that's sort of like soft selling. But more importantly, when you talk about life lessons, you talk about life, or you inspire people. Example, maybe my grandpa had a huge journey with cancer, and through all of it, I learned how important and how short life is. He passed away at age 76, and that sitting beside him at the deathbed made me realize that although I was only 14 at that time, there's really not a lot of years in your life. So I have to find out what is it that I want to do, what is it I really, really want to do, before I reach his stage lying on a bed and just waiting for time to pass. So inspirational speeches appeal to your emotions, to your heart, whereby persuasive speeches appeal to logic, your brain. So that is one of the fundamental differences. Next, specific purpose is more of to go deeper into the general purpose. So are you trying to convince someone something else, or are you trying to inform someone of something, or a cause and effect? So it's to delve deeper into the general purpose. And most importantly, are you trying to get them to change a course of action? So this is just general and specific purposes. But before you give a speech, always ask yourself, what is the purpose of this speech? Sometimes entertaining speech might not be suitable for maybe an informative speech or otherwise. But generally, all speeches fall into one of these 4 categories. So you need to find out which is which. Next, the speech structure. So just a quick question. How many of you write your opening first? The opening of your speech. So you write your speech from the start to the end. You start with the opening. Okay. How many of you write your speech from the body? So you think of your points first. And then like, okay, I will talk about 5 ways to lose weight. Or like 5 ways to get bigger biceps. Okay, and how many of you write from the conclusion first? That means you so in conclusion. Okay. So there is no hard or fast rule how you write your speech, right? But a better way to make sure that your message is clearly communicated is if you actually write from the conclusion first. So in the conclusion, always have 2 things: summarize the whole speech, and rally, which is your call to action, your inspirational message, or something for your audience to take back. But most importantly, this is your message of your speech. This is just in case you didn't understand anything of what I've just said, remember this, something like that. So that's why when you write a speech, it is encouraged sometimes that you can start from the conclusion first. So what? People remember the thing you say last. Right? So what is the last thing? What is the thing that you want people to remember the most? Write it first in your conclusion. Then from the conclusion, you work backwards to your body, and then you work to your opening. So the purpose of the opening actually is to capture attention. So a lot of very wonderful speakers, within the first 30 seconds, they're able to do something, and then you're like, oh my god, you need to do that, capture attention. And okay, the reason why I just clapped because I have 5 fingers, and 5 fingers represent 5 points of my speech today, something like that. That's an example of an opening as attention getter. How do you do something that's very wow, oh my god, what's happening? People want to find out more. It's like a clickbait title. So openings are to capture attention and to introduce your message. Okay. One other way to write a speech very powerful is that in your opening, you start with a question. Okay. I almost died riding a motorcycle. What did I learn from it? That's my introduction. And then in your body of your speech, you talk about point, and then you elaborate on the point, elaborate on the point, elaborate on the point. And in your conclusion, you summarize all the points you just mentioned, and you give the answer to this question. And you'll feel like your whole speech went full circle. So it's a very wholesome, very whole complete speech. So that's one very powerful way to write your speech. Start with the message first, think about your points, and then finally, how do you capture their attention and get them interested to listen to the rest of what you're trying to say. So that is the overall structure.
Relate to this one.
Okay. Yeah.
But I myself and some of my colleagues also have some problems with find the topic.
Right.
Find topic to write or to speak about. So I don't know. Do you have any tips?
Finding a topic to speak about. Actually, I have an answer for that. We will come at the end of this presentation. So you have to listen throughout, and I will tell you what the secret is. Okay. So with that, I'll move on to the next part. Okay. So this one is 6 ways to organize your speech. Right. This is coined by my mentor. So he describes to me 6 ways that anyone can organize your speech. So actually, I'm not sure whether you remember, but if you look down at your notes later, you'll see which of these methods you tend to use more often. So these are 6 pictures to describe how speakers tend to organize. This is chronological order. So this is with time. So first, he did this, and then at age this, he did that, and then later in life, he did this. So it follows a time structure. So by time. Okay. Second, this magnifying glass is called the micro and macro. So it's zooming in on an issue and then going to the bigger picture. So for example, I'm not sure what's the topic that's relatable to you guys, but from my experience, for example, in Singapore, one of the big issues is food waste. Because Singapore is a very affluent, very rich nation, but we waste a lot of food. So micro and macro. So I have to give an informative speech about food waste. I'll say like every day, every Singaporean is throwing 2 bowls of rice equivalent of food. 2 bowls of rice throwing away. And if everyone in the country do this, collectively, we throw away 670,000 tons of food a year. And we only import, 90% of our food. So Singapore only produces 10% of our food, but we throw away 670,000 tons of food. Right? So for example, micro, you start with 2 bowls of rice and a person, what are we doing? And then you scale it up as a nation. What is the problem if everyone throws away 2 bowls of food? So this is micro and macro approach, zooming in, zooming out. The pendulum. Let me just get the pendulum is going between two perspectives and ending with your stand. Okay, so this pendulum means that when you're giving a speech, you have two sides of the coin, two opinions. So, for example, a good example would be maybe if I am considering whether to study overseas for university. So in my speech, I would say on one hand, I think that it's better for me to stay in Singapore. It's closer to my family. It's easier to go around. I sort of know the place. It's safe. And then on the other hand, my other perspective is telling me, go see the world. You're still young. You're in your 20s. It's the best time to explore. You open to new experiences. But the other side is like, it's not safe. Maybe this, maybe that. Or even in informative presentation, let's say you're trying to convince your boss why this plan is good. So you offer both perspectives. So why we should buy this advertising space is because A, B, C. But on the other hand, it is E, F, G, something like that. So it's going between two perspectives. But at the end of it, you state your point. So after you show them left and right, my point is something, something, something. So it shows that you have a very balanced opinion if you present both sides. Next, we have the triangle. The triangle is a multi-pronged approach. So let's say you have an issue. In this case, let's say food waste. Okay, food waste in Singapore. What's a multi-pronged perspective? Okay, on this issue has many factors, many things causing this issue. On a personal level, Singaporeans, maybe they produce too much food. At a factory level, when we process the meat, we throw away the skin, we throw away the bones, and we only use the meat. So that's food waste. Or maybe the supermarkets, after like 3-4 days, they'll throw away the foods, even though it's still edible. Or there's ugly food, which is you produce the food, but the apple doesn't look very nice, so you throw away the apple, although it's perfectly safe to eat. And on the government level, maybe we don't have a law that says the country can recycle this food. Maybe feed it to the pigs. We don't have such laws. So it's a multi-pronged approach. So you give a holistic view on this one problem. So that's another way to corner. You see, corners the triangle, multi-pronged approach. For the light bulb, it's very simple. Problem solution. So for example, maybe I will talk about one problem, my fear of public speaking, and then the solution. What's the solution to overcoming it? So it's a light bulb, problem solution, cause effect. Or problem solution is more apt to describe this. And the last one is this eye hole, looking through eye hole. It's actually peep, peeping through, P-E-E-P. Point, explain, elaborate, point. I think you have heard of this structure before, somewhere. Basically, the peep, P-E-E-P, point. So let's say, I like the color red. That's my point. Then you explain. Because when I was young, I loved to wear a lot of red. And then elaborate. So in my culture, maybe red is a very lucky color. It's very dynamic, very energetic, very fierce. And I like that about the color red. So the point. Hence, I like red. Something like that. Point, explanation, elaborate, point. So that is the last of the 6 ways to organize your speech. Right? So once again, clock is chronological, following a time sequence. Pendulum is going between 2 points, left, right, left, right. The magnifying glass is going micro to macro. So you talk about the issue on a small scale, and then what is it on the bigger scale. The triangle is about many perspectives, one issue. So you present from different perspectives. The light bulb is the problem and the solution. This is the problem, this is the solution to your problem. And the last one, point, explanation, elaboration. Point. So it's to re-emphasize the point. Okay, so speaking your stories, what can I share about this? These are 5 ways, if I'm not wrong, 5 ways to better tell a story. So when you have a story, just remember the acronym SPEAK. So we can always start with setting the story. So the story so far, okay, maybe I can tell you the story of me climbing a mountain. So actually, I also do a bit of mountain climbing. When I was 14 years old, I had the opportunity to climb Mount Kinabalu. It's the highest peak in Southeast Asia. It's a mountain in Malaysia. It's about 4,325 meters high, which I think is a bit higher than Fansipan by 1,000 meters. So, perspective. So actually going into this trip, I was very scared because at that point of time, this program was only open to the sports students. So in my school, we have a lot of sports clubs. So the badminton club, the soccer club, the basketball club, the netball club. So a lot of very active people were in the group. And I was from the photography club. So I literally did very little exercise, so I was a bit scared. So that is my perspective emotions. So we had a very, very long training. We trained 3 times a week for about 3 hours, running, climbing stairs up and down, carrying weights as we run. And after 3 months of preparation, we finally came and climbed the mountain. And the whole climb was very tiring, but at certain times it was very mentally challenging as well. Like when we went above sea level, we started having altitude sickness. So it's when you're very high in the air, you start to want to vomit because of altitude sickness. But from that whole journey of climbing to the peak, I realized I overcame my self-doubt. Because at the start, I thought I couldn't climb this mountain. It's only for the sports students, only for the fit students. But standing at the peak, I realized I was able to do it, and I shouldn't limit myself. So that's the effect of the perspective. And afterwards, after climbing the mountain, I gained knowledge. So what is the lesson to be learned here? I can summarize it with a quote by Henry Ford: whether you think you can or you cannot, you are right. So I'm glad that I told myself I can climb this mountain, I can train, and I can make it to the top, and I did. So that taught me to be more confident when facing a challenge I never thought I could overcome. So these are 5 ways to bring out more like flair and colors to your stories. And last but not least, just these 2 points. Writing to attract your audience. This is the second last slide. Okay, so when your audience listens to you, they always listen or pay more attention to you because of 1 or 2 reasons. One is either because you're authority. You have authority. That means maybe if I'm a professor, right, and I study biological sciences, and I'm telling you this virus is very deadly, you listen to me because I'm a doctor or because I have some authority on this subject. So that's one reasons why audience members will listen to you, is because you have authority on that subject. The other reason is because you might have authenticity. So maybe, let's say I'm not here to warn you about a virus, but I'm not a doctor. So maybe I can tell you the story of my cousin who contracted this virus and died. That's why you have to be careful of this virus. So authenticity is about like your emotions and how well you connect to the audience. So always remember, when you're crafting a speech, either you're a subject matter expert or you have to be a bit more authentic and personal with this subject for your audience to really relate to the topic and understand you better, right? And with that, we'll go back to your question earlier, which is how do I find topics to talk or write speeches about? Let me just quickly share a very, very simple, fun video. This video, please play very, very, very close attention. Okay, video. Okay. Everyone can see? Can see? Oh, okay.
Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, sir.
I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
But how did you know?
Madam, as any horticulturist will tell you, one does not plant petunias until May is out. Take her away. It's just a matter of observation. The real question is, how observant were you? Clearly, somebody in this room murdered Lord Smythe, who, at precisely 3:34 this afternoon, was brutally bludgeoned to death with a blunt instrument. I want each of you to tell me your whereabouts at precisely the time that this dastardly deed took place.
I was polishing the brass in the master bedroom.
I was buttering his lordship's scones below stairs, son.
But I was planting my petunias in the potting shed.
Constable, arrest Lady Smythe.
So you get the point of the video? Anyone here notice any of the things move?
I noticed that the first time the ladies hold the pot with the pan.
Yes, and the second one died.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
very particular about plants. Yeah, so actually, any of you notice anything else? Any changes?
To be to the night.
The night. Yeah, the day to night. So just to share a bit about this video, the first time I watched it also I didn't. I thought it was just like normal. But the point of this video being that actually content or things to speak about, we have it all the time. All around us. It can be about a cup of water, can be related to health, organic food, or anything. But the problem is we don't pay attention to life. So basically, if you have this problem of not having anything to write about, maybe it's time to just slow down and pay attention to the things around you. I find it very helpful when I run out of things to write speeches about. I just observe my daily life. Sometimes it might not even be me. I can just overhear a conversation from someone, maybe on the way to work or at a cafe. Maybe they're talking about a topic of interest. And like, aha. I think generally when we have our day-to-day life and we go to work, we are very focused on work and we pay attention to who killed the lady, but we don't notice the things changing around us. So it's just a matter of, I think, slowing down and looking out for things in your daily life. Yeah. So it can even be within yourself. Like, what are your interests, your hobbies, yourself. So very often we look outwards for answers, but maybe I think in this case we can look inwards and just observe from our daily lives. I think you'll be very surprised at how much content you can actually get. Yeah. So I hope that helps. Yeah. Does it? I mean, if it doesn't, you can just let me know.
Yeah, it's something like, okay, I have a lot of things to talk about myself or around my life, but sometimes I don't have a message to put in that.
Okay.
So it's something like the content is not attractive enough to my audiences. So that's the way.
It's true. I think for this, my take on this is, on top of having experiences, you need a bit of reflection. So once you reflect on your experiences and you take that knowledge, I think if we go back to the slide on stories, the last part here, the knowledge, what you actually gain from this experience, the knowledge, I think that's when people start paying attention. Yeah, like people, anyone can climb a mountain, but not everyone, maybe they will pay attention to your story more if you talk about how you cured or you healed depression by climbing a mountain. How I cured depression. So experiences is good. We have a lot of experiences, but what we need to do is, my mentor always emphasizes, you need to internalize the experience, reflect upon it. For me, I keep a journal. So when I have thoughts I can't express, I write it down. And when I look back at it, I sort of like noticed that actually the answer was there. I just was too busy with everything else. I can't. So when I share the answers. Yeah, then that will make it.
Actually, when you talk about reflection, I also think about my manager, because every month we also have a reflection section.
Yeah.
Or we notice in OneNote.
Yeah.
Something like the notebook, and we talk about each other, how I improve, how I learn less learn or something like the so maybe it's also
Yeah. I get that also because I remember when I was in schooling, my teachers always forced me to write reflection. Like everything, going on a learning journey. So
sometimes I feel lazy.
yeah, it's very hard because you have to force yourself to sit down and write reflection. So in school, I didn't see the value of reflection because you're forced to do it. But now I do it intentionally because I want to internalize this experience and I want to gain something from it. So if you don't I think if I don't reflect on my experience, I waste the experience. You can do something big, but if you don't, if I don't think about what is it, I waste.
I also ran up idea after 5 or 6 speeches, but my mentor who also told me a very effective way to get more ideas and inspiration for speech. Just sit down and find questions on the internet, like what you appreciate the most, what recently that help you to grow, things like that. The reflection question on the internet, and on each day spend 10 minutes on 1 or 2 questions, and that becomes the material for my speech. That try practicing that.
Thank you. I hope it helps your question. Yeah, so with that, that's the end of the 3rd segment. So let's go for a break and then we'll be back for the last one. Any other questions we can talk about?
I would like to suggest a specific idea for your issue. It's like you can go because maybe you're lazy because maybe you feel like the feeling that you sit down after a long day in front of a laptop is writing, it's kind of lame or boring or forced. So you can Google 5-minute journal. It's actually it's a book, but they have reflective questions for you. So you just answer those questions. And somehow you look back at that, you'll take that idea from the speech. JOURNAL. So they have some sort of questions for you. So maybe you feel less lazy, but yeah, it's important to. Or I also write journals daily, at least 15-20 minutes.
Sure.
And then because when you write the journal, you draw out the lessons you learn one day. So you feel like, okay, I can take this. So that is the message that you need.
So I have to
Maybe we take a picture.
Yeah. So which should setting up first because
right, yeah.
You mean?
Yeah. Oh, where should we stand? Maybe over this side. Think okay? We all stand over here, and they will help us take a picture with them.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for this
I think I would ask you more about education and how do you training in the club because I'm about to start my VP.
You should be. I think you're learning part of
VP triangle.
VP triangle.
Yep. You can buy the book and let me know. Actually, there's a PDF version, but it's 50 pages. It's
Okay, everyone. Goes and đẩy cái này lên trên đây được ạ, ghế đấy đẩy lên trên được không? Nó bị vào này.
Một, hai, ba. Một, hai, ba.
Ngồi đây.
Có rảnh không? Không có gì là thời gian. Đấy rảnh thế mà không viết cho nó.
Chị chụp cho chết.
Đi đâu đấy?
Sang nhà chị. Chị vừa sai là đi mua và chua bảo là 1 tiếng nữa về rồi 1 tiếng rưỡi.
Đúng rồi, chị gọi thì trời ơi, mua cả chua mà cũng sai em nào. Vậy cho con hả? Sắp hết rồi chị ạ. Không thấy cuối như like cái mà.
Chắc là hỏi đáp rồi các thứ.
Ok, thì em vào đây. Mấy cầm mấy cái.
Bạn nghe biết rồi.
Không, mấy cái đấy nó có tập. Đấy cái gì chị cũng động đấy, chị cũng đến lừa, cái tiền lừa trong đấy chết rồi. Trong khi thời gian thì có nhưng mà lại lừa em.
Đúng rồi đấy.
Em không có quyển sổ với speech ideas.
Em phải.
Đây là chị Ngọc tham management.
Em quay lại này đúng không? Quay clip đúng không?
Livestream. Phải quay, đây không phải là
Mà mình đâu
mà
tôi cho chị ra ngoài mà chị. Không, gặp cái này mà anh đâu.
ở đây thì Vũ mới biết đây là president.
Em lấy tên là gì? Em là sinh viên năm cuối á.
Em năm 2 nữa.
Năm 2 à? Bọn mình với cô rồi đấy nhỉ? Dạ, thì nói về tuổi tác.
Thường thì hơn 10 tuổi để gọi là cô hả chị?
Bạn này bao tuổi không? Này á, cũng tầm các sinh viên ở với cái trường. 20 à?
Do you know Turkey when you understand?
Yes, I do.
What things?
Most actually, of all my skills in Vietnamese, listening is my best. Yeah, followed by speaking, reading, and then writing.
How about slang?
Slang, no, okay.
Slang, like
I'm
slang in
sure
other areas, like in the south, the south slang is different.
a bit. It's like Bát Chen,
That's it.
Bát and a Chen. I know the words,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah,
know
so-
the casual talk. Yeah.
We speak Vietnamese. Can you understand?
How many languages?
It's Vietnamese.
Half Vietnamese.
I
Even they have
English, Chinese, Vietnamese.
Chinese.
Mandarin
Yeah.
or
我不懂，我不懂。
我懂一点，一点点，我讲华语一点点，你听我
一点的，
不懂。
不懂。
But is it hard to learn Chinese? If you're Vietnamese, is it hard to learn Chinese?
Very difficult.
writing.
In writing only because
Yeah, writing.
speaking
Oh.
is easier. Or reverse in English, speaking is more difficult.
Yeah. Pronunciation.
Writing
Oh, but because the words look the same.
Chinese because our pronunciation is quite similar.
Chinese is only 4 roots. Vietnamese is like 7.
Hồi lại học lại tiếng Việt. Học lại tiếng Việt.